Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we are looking at the Kuat Sherpa Two-Bike Rack here on our 2021 Toyota Sienna. Now the Kuat Sherpa is a great mid-range bike rack. It has the features and beautiful design you would expect from a Kuat bike rack, but it is at a more affordable price. So one of its features is that it can tilt away, and to do so you would pull this lever right over here, and that allows it to drop down to a tilt. And you'll want to do that if you want to access your hatch. Now what I noticed here on our Sienna is that as the door does come up, it looks like it comes close, but there's still clearance, and that gives you the opportunity to get into your trunk, maybe grab your bags, your water, your helmets, without having to take the bike off. Now my bike's handlebars are kind of on the short side, so if you do have longer handlebars, this may be an issue for you. So another bike rack that has a deeper tilt is the Kuat NV, if you want to consider that. On the other side, it's really quick and easy to take a bike on and off the Sherpa, so it's not that big of a deal if it can't tilt away all the way. Let's take a look at how to take that bike off. I would start here at the rear wheel strap. To do so, you press that button, you lift up on the strap or push up, whichever works for you, and then leave it to the side so it doesn't get caught up in your spokes. Then you come over to the front, and I recommend holding onto the bike as you do so it doesn't tilt backwards. You press that button, lift up on the hook, push out, and from there you are ready to go on a bike ride. And with the bike out of the way, this is a good time to take the opportunity to take a closer look at the bike rack. So here in the back you have that rear wheel cradle, and that's going to tilt back and forth to accommodate different wheelbases. You have one of the thicker straps from Kuat that I have seen, and this is going to come down and going to ratchet down to secure that rear wheel. This has a capacity of up to 3 inches in terms of tire width. So if you do have a fat tire bike, this might not be the best for you, but it is good enough for your regular bikes. Here in the front we have a front wheel cradle, and this is going to fold down to be nice and compact. And then you have this front wheel clamp. Now the thing about the front wheel clamp is this is really useful with, let's say, your carbon frame bikes, which I just had earlier, because then you don't have to worry about accidentally warping the frame like it does with other bike racks. Also, if you have alternate frame bikes like step-through bikes, women's bikes, children's bikes, you're gonna like that front wheel hook design because that clamps it down by the wheel and not by the frame, meaning you don't have to get a frame adapter bar. And this does have a weight capacity of 40 pounds per bike. It also has integrated locks. So if you take a closer look at that integrated lock, you can see how that's where the cable is going to be to wrap around the bike and make sure that you can deter theft as you use this bike rack. Now when you do have a bike rack on your vehicle, there is some length added to the back of it. So let's take some measurements to see exactly how much. Here on our Sienna, we'll measure from the rear bumper, and we'll go all the way to the end, and it sits at a 32.5 inches. That's pretty normal for the length added by a two-bike bike rack, but still something to keep in mind when you're backing into your garage or parking into a tight spot. Your Sienna is already kind of a long vehicle, so that's the extra length from your bikes. We'll also talk about ground clearance. So measuring for ground clearance, underneath the trace to the ground it sits at 17.5 inches. And then measuring from underneath the shank to the ground, it's 9.5 inches. So with this vehicle, ground clearance is really important because your hitch does sit so low to the ground. So it is a good thing that this rises up. That way your bikes are a little bit further up, and as you go up steep inclines like driveways or hills, you're going to want as much ground clearance as you can get. Another of its features is that it can fold up. To do so, what you're going to do is you're going to pull on this lever and then fold it up against the rear of your vehicle. Let's take some more measurements. Measuring from our bumper to where those trays are, it sits at 8 inches far, but down here where the anti-rattle knob, it sticks out a little bit further. So that's going to be 14 inches of length. That's going to be added to the back of your vehicle. As for closest point, we're going to have it at about a little over 4 inches of clearance between our bike rack and our vehicle, meaning there's no way it's going to make contact as you drive around, which is great. And with it folded up, let's take a look at how it works with our car. So you can see our rear window is completely open, as are our tail lights, and then our backup camera sits right there, and that's going to be above the bike rack. That way you don't have to worry about this accidentally covering your camera. You're still going to see out of your camera and see the cars behind you. Our license plate is mostly open, but it does kind of come in right over there, so depending on where the car is, it may be not as visible, so just keep that in mind, especially when it comes to your local laws and regulations. That's pretty normal for a platform bike rack though. Now let's talk about how this fits into our hitch. So our vehicle right now has a 2-inch hitch receiver, so we're using a 2-inch solid shank. If you do have an 1.25 inch receiver though, that's perfectly fine, because then you can get an 1.25 inch shank that's gonna fit, exact same bike rack, works the exact same way, just a different size. It comes with a hitch pin and a lock, and that lock is gonna be key to the cable lock that comes with our bike rack, which we talked about earlier. It's also a tool for your install. So all you need to do is pop it in, and then you tighten it down with this anti-rattle knob. So that extends a ball cam inside that shank, so that when you shake it, it's a super solid fit. I'm mainly shaking the vehicle at this point, meaning you're gonna have a smoother ride for your bikes and not extra rattle from an improper contact between the two. Another thing that we want to talk about while it's folded up is look how convenient that foot lever is. If you're holding your bike, you can also drop this tray down. This is the gray version, and it comes in 3 different colors. So it also comes in pearl and black, so choose according to your vehicle. Alright, so my final thoughts about the Kuat Sherpa is that it looks great with our Toyota Sienna. Kuat always makes really good looking bike racks, plus they're very functional too. If you have a heavy electric bike, this may not be the best fit for you, but if you just have a regular road or mountain bike and it's not too extra heavy, this works perfectly fine. You still get to access your hatch, and you have all those fun features that a Kuat bike rack is known for. So that was a look at the Kuat Sherpa 2.0 2-bike rack here on our 2021 Toyota Sienna. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole or driving over uneven pavement. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway. So we can see here how the bike rack moves with our truck.